I'd like to call the Village Board meeting to order, please. If you would stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you and welcome everyone. Next would be roll call. Madam Clerk.
Trustee Harn. Trustee Gett.
Present.
Trustee Dan Mariscal.
Present.
Trustee Diane Mariscal.
Present.
Trustee Reichert.
Present.
And Trustee Carter.
Present.
Okay. Next would be approval of the Board of Trustees minutes for November 21st, 2017. I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all those approving those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk, any correspondence?
None at this time.
All right, and I have no announcements, so we would be at trustees' reports. Dan Mariscal.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing to report this evening.
All right. Trustee Carter.
We have nothing to report tonight.
Trustee Gett.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing to report this evening.
Trustee Reichert.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing this evening.
Excuse me, I did want to say good job on the placement of the
Thank you.
Sculpture out there. I should acknowledge that. Good job.
Thanks, sir. Trustee Harn. Director Smith.
We do not have anything this evening.
Okay. Trustee Diane Mariscal.
I have nothing this evening.
Ooh, I like this.
Okay. So we'd be at comments from the audience. Any comments from the audience? Going once. Going twice. Comments from the audience are closed. So we'd be at item 9, a presentation and recognition of the junior high girls basketball team. Trustee Gett, will you help me, please?
Yeah. I never was a receiver.
So if we can get the girls from the team and coaches come forward, please. You know, we're really lucky in this community to have good schools and good coaches, and the result of that is this team and their winning record. And tonight we're happy to have an excellent turnout of the girls, and we're here to honor them tonight for their accomplishments. And by the way, if you didn't find them, there are cookies and refreshments in the back of the room in honor of the team. Are we ready? Okay. Whereas, alongside coaches and family members, the Peoria Heights Junior High Girls basketball team made a huge commitment to becoming the best team possible. And whereas, the Peoria Heights Junior High Girls basketball team celebrated their team's win during the IESA 2A Regional Championship. And whereas, the Board of Trustees would like to recognize Chloe Guchall, Olivia Reese, Risa Foster, Kennedy Henry, Carly Macedo, Natalie Hockenberry, Skylie Davis, Ariana Gett, McKenna Allen, Emily Dana, Tanya Cox, Olivia Tharp, and all members of the Peoria Heights Junior High Girls basketball team for their accomplishments. And whereas the Board of Trustees would like to recognize Coach Chris Reese, assistant coaches Jennifer Reichert, Ron Foster, Sarah Pacheco, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. For their leadership and guidance, and whereas the Board of Trustees would like to recognize all the parents, families, sponsors, and volunteers who supported this team along the way. Now, therefore, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Peoria Heights would like to formally recognize the Peoria Heights Junior High Girls Basketball Team as champions and hereby proclaim December 19, 2017 as Patriots Day. Michael E. Phelan, Mayor, Margaret Goff, Clerk. So, Coach, come forward. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Would you introduce your team and tell us a little bit about them?
Rebecca, you're good at this. Come on up here.
Go ahead, come on.
I talked last time.
Well, it's your job.
I don't have a clue. Thank you, board. Thank you, everybody here, for coming out and supporting us. Parents, thank you for having your girls at practice. It's been a long road, but I mean, Chris and I stand on the side and we yell at the girls, but these are the girls that put in the effort, the time, and the dedication, and that's what it takes. So congratulations, girls. This is well deserved.
Well, I'm a little biased. I kind of know a few of them on here, and I think they've done an excellent job. They worked hard. Nobody can say anything against these girls about their dedication, especially at St. Vincent's. And I got to say, parents, good job cheering them on. Yeah, I mean, talk about getting loud. We didn't have anybody, but the parents sure made up for it, and I got to say, good job. I think the girls fed off that. And Coach Reese, I've known you for a long time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not letting you out of it.
Just want to put in, especially the 8th grade girls, good work. We had Ariana Gett, Rista Foster, Chloe Gutschel, Kennedy Henry. Good work. Natalie Hackenberry, sorry. Good job, girls. Just you guys had a great season.
Congratulations. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And please take the banner. And please take the cookies, girls. Those are for you. Okay, we would be at old business. Is there any old business to come before the board?
Still got Jeff. Mike.
Oh, okay. Is there any old business to come before the board? Hearing none, we would be at new business. The first is Chuck's Auto Sales, special use renewal. Trustee Dan Mariscal, may I have a motion to approve that, please?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve special use renewal for Chuck's Auto Sales.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a second on that?
Yes.
I do. Okay, thank you, Trustee Reichert. Back to you, Dan. Go right ahead.
Chuck's Auto Sales is seeking a renewal of its special use permit, which would allow it to continue operating at its present location. It has passed inspection by the PD, and the permit, assuming that we pass it, will be valid for 3 months.
Okay, thank you. Questions? All right, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Dan Marisco?
Aye.
Trustee Diane Marisco?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
And Trustee Carter?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next is Katie's Cars special use renewal. Trustee Mariscal, could I have a motion to approve that?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the special use renewal permit for Katie's Cars.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I do. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Similar to the last one, Katie's Cars is seeking a renewal of its special use permit. It would allow it to continue operating at its present location. It has also passed inspection by the PHPD, and this permit will be valid for a total of 1 year.
Thank you. Questions or discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Dan Marisco?
Aye.
Trustee Diane Marisco?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
And Trustee Carter?
Aye.
Thank you, and that passes. Ordinance 2017-1535, an ordinance to establish the date for a public hearing for the Peoria Heights Tax Increment Financing District 3. Trustee Dan Mariscal?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2017-1535.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
I do. Okay, go ahead, Dan.
What this ordinance will do, assuming the board passes it, it will set a date of Tuesday, February 6, 2018, for a public hearing regarding the establishment of Peoria Heights TIF District 3. We will be required to publish the date twice in the newspaper prior to that meeting, and we will also be sending out direct mailings through certified mail.
Thank you. Mr. Fick, I see Mr. Klein. Anything else that we missed?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay. Any questions, trustees? Go ahead, Trustee Reichert.
Those letters go to the resident?
Steve,
or
please,
to the owner of the home?
Step forward, Mr. Klein, if you would, and answer that.
Yes, the residents of the proposed TIF area receive a notice, as also do the taxpayers of record. The taxpayers of record will receive a notice by certified mail. Residents who are not otherwise a taxpayer will receive a notice by regular mail, and then residential addresses within 750 feet of the proposed area will also receive a notice of the public hearing, and it will be published twice prior, not less than 2 weeks before the public hearing.
Anything else, Trustee Reichert?
No, thank you.
Anyone else? Going once, going twice. Okay, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Dan Marisco?
Aye.
Trustee Diane Marisco?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert? Aye. Trustee Carter?
Aye.
All right, thank you, and that passes. Next, a vote to approve the execution of the cancellation of a promissory note by the mayor pursuant to the redevelopment agreement adopted by ordinance 2016-1483. Trustee Mariscal, I'd ask for a motion to approve that.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the execution of a cancellation of a promissory note.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I do. Go ahead, Dan.
Thank you, Mayor. For this, I'm actually going to defer to Administrator Fick.
All right.
And I'm going to kick it right over to Steve Klein.
Well, pursuant to the redevelopment agreement for the 4500 North Prospect project, there was a provision in there that the project needed to be completed, needed to be issued a certificate of occupancy, and the parking lot needed to be completed as well. And along with that, there needed to be public parking spaces made available, which will be available to the public for the duration of the redevelopment agreement. We have been informed that the certificate of occupancy has been issued, the project's been completed, and those parking spaces are now available for public use. So per the performance of the developer, the village then may release a promissory note, a lien, that essentially was held there to ensure that the project was completed as I just described. That's been done, and so what you'll be doing is just following through with the village's commitment pursuant to what you've already agreed to.
Okay, thank you.
And that was per direction of Nick Nelson, our attorney, with Jacob and Klein to the village a couple of weeks ago.
Questions?
This is for the 4500 block, right?
The corner, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Anyone else? Mr. Tibbs, any input from you, sir, on this?
No, Mr. Klein's much more familiar with it than I am, and I defer to his recommendation.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, if we're ready for the question, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Dan Marisco?
Aye.
Trustee Diane Marisco?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Trustee Carter?
Aye.
Okay. Next is bid opening for the demolition of 720 Division, 5012 Best, and 1105 East Duryea. Before I ask for a motion to approve that, Council, you have a recommendation for us?
Yes, I do, Mayor. There were some ambiguities in the bid opening or in the bid solicitation that I think caused some confusion among some potential bidders, and so the recommendation is to rebid this project while not opening any of the bids that have been solicited so that there's no disadvantage to those people in order to secure a broader base of potential bidders and better bids and quality work on the project.
Thank you. So, Trustee Diane Mariscal, could I have a motion to, how do you want this to read, Council, to rebid? To
I would recommend that the motion just be to rebid the project at the earliest possible date.
Is that suitable with you, Trustee Mariscal?
One more question?
Yes.
May I have that?
Oh, did you have a question?
Did we do questions then?
Sure. Could I get a second, then we'll come back and answer the question? Are you making that motion, Diane?
Yes.
Could I get a second?
Second.
Okay, go ahead, Cheryl.
So for those 3 locations, we put it out for bid to demolish? Demolish?
Right.
Is it covered underneath the grant that we would typically get? Kyle or Matt?
Right, so we have a grant, one $40,000 grant that we can use to reimburse for the cost of demolition, but not legal expenses. So yes, it would be, the demolition costs would be covered by that grant for these 3 homes.
Okay, and that's something that we wouldn't want to do, our guys, right?
Not having, with the grant money in play?
Right.
No.
It's not.
So those 3 properties we're putting out for bid to tear down.
They were put out for bid and
In the
bids were
lien.
received today, but
What was wrong with the bids?
There were some ambiguities in the solicitation that made it confusing for some contractors. They indicated that they did not bid for that reason. They would have liked to have bid if those ambiguities were resolved, and so the recommendation is to rebid in order to broaden the base of potential bidders.
So in order to get the lowest bid from the most responsible contractors in consultation with council.
The bid specs weren't met. So right, is that what I'm hearing? The bid specs was not met, that's why we're rebidding it?
The bid specs, there were some ambiguities that the contractors did not understand. And for that reason, they did not submit bids.
We had some that didn't want to jump in on it, so they're giving them a chance to reread it, do it, and jump in on it. So there's nobody complaining. I wasn't allowed to bid.
Are you saying that the bid specs, when we published them, were not clear? Is that what he's saying?
Essentially, yes.
Right.
How many bids were received?
6.
So we won't open those. We don't want to put anybody at, we want those same contractors to bid the next time. But I think we'll clarify the specs a little better this time based on council's recommendation.
Okay, I'm still not, so this isn't really new, so why now did they not go through? I mean, we've done this before, so why now? I guess is my question. I'm just a little confused of, this is the first time that we've put bids out to demolish something.
So
now all of a sudden, we got 3 properties here that we're gonna pay for, so it's gonna be a lien. Eventually, we'll own the properties and eventually sell it down the line and not get any money out of it. Why now? I mean,
So in the past, we've done one house sporadically, one house at a time. So it's much easier to work with, a handful of contractors to get the best price. This was trying to package. There was a 4th in here at one point, but since we had a larger amount, we put it out with more formalized bid specifications with the advice of legal counsel, and they were written in line with some larger projects that, like the city of Peoria had done, where they're looking for the price per cubic foot and per square foot for demolition. And they're very detailed. The requirements are very detailed. So a lot of these contractors came back and said, for a job this small, we typically don't have a scope of work that's this detailed to respond to. So we're going to simplify that and then spit it out again and try to see if we can get more people to respond to it that way.
6 isn't enough?
But we didn't know we were going to get 6 until today. We just heard from others that they weren't going to bid on it because of the complexity of the specifications.
So we're hoping we're going to get a lower bid.
Right.
If we make it, if we change.
A bit easier for them to understand, right?
Thank you for phrasing it that way, Trustee Reichert. Anyone else? Okay, so we have a motion to go out and rebid. If there are no further questions, then Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Gett. Trustee Dan Marisco.
Aye.
Trustee Diane Marisco.
Aye.
Trustee Reichert.
Aye.
And Trustee Carter.
I'm still hesitant on that, but I make a note of that, please, in the notes.
Okay, so that motion passes. Next is the appointment of Katie Kim to the Business District Advisory Committee. So we created this Business District Advisory Committee to give a voice to those businesses who are collecting this tax for us and to make recommendations to the village board. We have a vacancy now because there was a resignation, so Katie has expressed interest in serving on this committee, so her nomination and appointment is before you tonight. So I would ask for a motion to approve that appointment.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by trustee Gett. Was there a second? Second. Okay, we have that. Any discussion on the motion? Deb, trustee Reichert, second that? Okay. Any discussion on the motion? All right, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Dan Mariscal? Aye. Trustee Diane Mariscal?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
And Trustee Carter?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next is approval for the use of Tower Park on Saturday, October 6, 2018 for Cystic Fibrosis Great Strides Walk. Trustee Dan Mariscal, I'd ask for a motion to approve that.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion for approval for use of Tower Park on Saturday, October 6, 2018 for the Cystic Fibrosis Great Strides Walk.
Do I have a second? I do. Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Dan Mariscal?
Aye.
Trustee Diane Mariscal?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
And Trustee Carter?
Okay, moving right along. Next, we have a presentation by Hassel Levine Associates regarding small area planning studies. So welcome, gentlemen. I've been impressed with your work. You did a corridor study for us. You're doing a hotel study, and you're doing more work not only here in Peoria Heights, but you're working in East Peoria as well. So if you wouldn't mind, for the audience at home and those of us here, if you tell us a bit about yourselves and your firm, and then get into a short presentation. We're very interested, but being the holiday season, if you can keep it short tonight, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, thanks for the introduction, Mayor. I think what we'll do tonight is, first of all, my name is Nick Davis. I'm with Hassel Levine. I'm a planner and an urban designer. With me is Micho Mirakishi. I'll let Micho introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Micho Mirakishi with Hassel Levine.
Perfect. We're keeping it short and sweet. So what we want to do tonight is, and I know everybody can see the boards up here, we were originally contracted by the village to work on 3 area plans. So I don't know if you're familiar with the the commercial corridor plans we did about a year and a half back, and they identified some sites in the village that would be great opportunity sites for redevelopment. Some of these sites vary in sizes. Some are much smaller, maybe a block and a half. Others are much larger, are going to require a lot of coordination between property owners and opportunities with the village, that type of thing. So what we were hired to do is ultimately, and I guess to keep it short and sweet, is to come in and identify if there's a market for redevelopment for these properties. And if there is a market for it, what are the types of uses that make the best sense on these properties? And after we program that out and identified the types of uses that we think are the best fit, those mixes of uses, we'll start to develop some concept plans, 2D site plans, something that'll be presented. Everybody will have an opportunity, kind of probably in a similar format such as this, to see what those 2D site plans look like. You'll be able to see, parking, building placement, potentially the uses that are going to be there, what those impacts are going to be in the surrounding areas, how you're going to access existing roadways, where future roadway connections need to be made. Fairly detailed studies for each one of these. And then from there, we'll start to identify what those potential impacts are going to be on future redevelopment. So what might the infrastructure improvements need to be? Are there any zoning amendments that may need to occur? We're really going to try to drill down into more detail, separate from what we did with the commercial corridor plans, and really start to identify what these areas could look like in the future. Once we get past that initial concept phase, we'll start moving into 3D realm, building some 3D models, starting to develop this up so everybody has a real good sense of what these could look like. We're also going to be developing a pro forma. So with that, it'll start to serve as like a toolkit or a development guide that the village and property owners can start to use to attract future interest from developers, investors, really starting to see how do we transform this area in the next 5, 7, 10 years. So I think with that, there's a lot of things that we'd love to talk about tonight. We're kicking off the project today. You're going to be seeing us here taking pictures, meeting with staff, meeting with stakeholders, meeting with the public over the next 6, 7, 8 months. But if you have any questions, we're going to be standing up by these boards for the next 30, 45 minutes after the Board of Trustees adjourns, and we'd love to hear anything that you might have in terms of input, comments, questions, concerns, whatever we can do in these areas to start to transform them in the coming years. So I think with that, unless anybody has questions from the board.
Questions, trustees? Would you identify for the record the boundaries or the properties you're studying?
Too quick. Yeah, so the 3 areas are, I'll just start from the board here on the left. The first one is Heritage Square and Trepskers. So that area is defined from the properties that are adjacent to Prospect and really around the trail, the bike trail. The other one is down on War Memorial. There's a 4-block study area starting from the Allwins Brothers and moving east towards Prospect Road. Mostly auto-oriented mix of uses there now. And then the last site, much bigger site, is the Williams Brothers and the Pearl Company site. And this is just a mix of both of many of the properties that those 2 owners own currently, and also a residential neighborhood and really the frontage along Prospect Road on the west side of Prospect. So, and I think if you come up here, it's pretty clear. We can kind of walk through, really we're talking existing conditions right now, existing concerns, and then what you'd like to see us do, moving forward. Is that helpful?
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. We look forward to the final product.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, next is the treasurer's report.
Okay, I show for the Village of Peoria Heights, the grand total in the village account is $1,246,512.82, and the waterworks is $472,007.27.
All right, you've heard the treasurer's report. I would ask for a motion to approve that.
So moved.
A motion?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion on the motion? Any questions? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Dan Mariscal?
Aye.
Trustee Diane Mariscal?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert? Aye. And Trustee Carter?
Thank you all very much. I'd like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Trustee Gett?
Thank you, Mayor Phelan. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I do. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are adjourned.